It's the one take wonder. That's usually not how I start my videos. Hey, fellow campers, it's the Chill Camper here with another campsite, trip review in the back country of Algonquin. Had a really good time, and I wanted to share just some tips that I had from this loop. And we had a really good time. It was 4 of us, and I just want to do a little review trip. We're gonna do it in one take, because honestly, guys, I lost some momentum with the whole channel because I'm sure you see the massive gap. Okay, I promised some footage on this trip. I was super stoked about the footage we got. We bumped into a lot of big obstacles, like some famous obstacles. So I got really fired up about getting that footage. I wanted to share it with you guys. And then I got home and the GoPro, I guess, didn't save any of it. Very sad moment in my YouTuber career. In my camping career, really crushing moment, total blow, broadside. So anyways, but we're back with a little trip review. Had a really good time, so this is going to be fun. I left from Smoke Lake. Not always a big fan of Smoke Lake because the paddle back always sucks, and I'm going to tell you, we'll talk about the paddle back when we get back there on the trip. Then we went to my first obstacle, which was the Devil's Portage, Devil's Staircase. That was the first one, and I'll be honest, a little rough, but not the worst. I would say that the Devil's Staircase, it was, it was just uphill, but it was a gradual. It wasn't crazy steep, which I appreciated it. I'm not a big fan of the crazy steep. So if you just want to give me gradual forever, rock and roll. Anyway, so that was the thing. Then around Big Porcupine, I never had the guts to take that after after that stupid Devil's Staircase. We're not doing the other portage. We went around. Looking back, probably should have done it, but whatever. Live and you learn. There we go. And then we get to Bonnechere. So that there's little portage there, but whatever. You're good enough for it. So I'm going to show some pictures of the campsite I was at. And then we went to the other campsite kind of across the lake to go swimming because the rocks kind of look cool, and we just wanted to keep paddling apparently. So we went swimming there, and that was really fun. So I got some pictures of both campsites there, and I'll post the thing there. So that was day 1. Decent amount of paddling, some good portages in there, real fun. It took us around 4 hours. Alrighty, day 2. So from day 2, we left Bonnechere, and we had to go to Lake Louisa, the right there of the screen. And I'll show you some pictures of Lake Louisa. But before we show the pictures, we got to, there's some portages in the way. What I will say was a little muddy at some of the entrances, but not that bad. Now the low water part, that's true. There was a little bit of low water, but nothing that we couldn't handle. Some of us got muddy, but nothing to write home about. That was cool. I really liked the portage to Party Lake. That was cool because it splits off at there, and I think it splits off and it looks pretty cool. So I really appreciated that. Big fan of the Party Lake split. I'll kind of zoom up on it there so you guys can see what I'm talking about. But you can kind of see 2 lakes from one portage, and then there's just a small strip of land separating 2 big bodies of water. I think it's pretty cool, right, guys? Okay. Maybe you agreed. Maybe you're nodding at home. That'd be kind of cool. Anyways, so that was a 715 meter one, and I think there was a cool waterfall there, if I'm not mistaken. It was either that one or the portage before. I think it was that one. So I'll put the picture. Anyways, I'll put the picture of the waterfall there. Kind of cool, But the guys were kind of in a hurry. So then our next portage, thank goodness it wasn't devil related. At least it had a name and it was steep. This one I didn't like, but that's because I was carrying the food barrel in the canoe, right? Usually. So we rotated. Anyways. So yeah, that one, at least the name invokes Jesus, at least maybe our Lord and Savior, if you want to believe in that. If not Jesus, anyone else that might be above. But I think we can all agree that God's a little bit better. Well, I don't know. Satan's temple and stuff. So it's still up for debate. Anyways, Stairway to Heaven, not a great name for a portage, and not a great portage for my bad knee. But again, it was because I had the food barrel. I'm getting caught up on the. Okay, we got to move on here. And I'm not blaming anyone. It's my fault. Okay, so we get to Lake Louisa. Lake Louisa, we stopped at the first campsite because honestly, after that kind of like, all those portages, we weren't paddling anymore, and it was a beautiful campsite. So I'll show you guys the picture because it was a fantastic campsite. Very happy with it. Had a great time. We made a strategic decision. I'm sure some of you guys have been there. When we go camping, we bring our food. We try to like pack light, but we make a decision that instead of hard liquor that most seasoned campers will do, just it hurts a little too much, So we bring bagged wine, for this trip. Bag of wine. It collapses. It's great. It doesn't. It won't. We don't have to worry about popping. It just stays in the food barrel. Although we did worry about it popping, but it won't pop, which is good because it's got a little bit of give to it. So we found that out. Anyways, we made the strategic decision to shed some weight, if you get what we're talking about. So that we had a good time at that lake because it was kind of like a little party, and somebody brought a radio. I think it was Taylor. Anyway. Somebody brought a radio, one of the campers, and it was great. I love the radio. Bring a radio camping. If some people like the silence, but once in a while it's kind of fun. But it was a crank radio because the batteries were already dead as we took it, so you had to crank it, and we're just listening to Kim Mitchell cranking the radio. Great time. Crushing some bagged wine. So we had a really good time on that campsite. Then we took off. So that was the end of the day 2. Day 3, we leave Lake Louisa. We got to get to McGarvey. Now this one sucked. So the long portage there. Saw some moose tracks, which is kind of cool. But that long portage, a long 1.4K, that was a doozy. And this is when it got really muddy. Like this area here was really kind of sucked. I went midsummer in around June, so yeah, that happened. And so it was really muddy. Yes, it got a little hairy sometimes. So that would kind of sucked. And then we got to McGarvey, and between you and I, McGarvey is not that great. It's got two good, it's got two bad campsites. Campsites okay, no, but there's one campsite, the one at the end there. I'm going to highlight it on the screen. But that one campsite, it was good, not the best. It was the best of bad. Nice view. It was a good campsite. If we got another campsite on McGarvey, it would have been a bad. I would have regretted booking that lake. But because we got this campsite, it was a nice kind of you kind of have to have one crummy campsite on your backcountry. One of those kind of moments where it's not the best, but it's okay because it makes you think about the good ones. But it was the best of that lake. And it was still it had a really nice campsite. You'll see, if you do some research online, you'll see it. It's McGarvey number 3 or 1. I forget the number, but anyways, you'll find it online. And then we and then day 4 we would go back to Ragged. To be honest, we probably we had enough energy to just go back home. But before we even got to Ragged, this was the doozy, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna do a video on this later on, a little sneak peek on the docket. But we went through the double. What is that name? Double Devil's Staircase. So the Devil's Staircase time 2, and also the way we went was the good way to go in my opinion. So we were lucky. We went from we took the 425 portage there, then the 930. That's the Double Devil's Staircase, and it was Yeah, we took it the right way because at the end of I'll highlight it on the map, but on this end of the Portage, there's like a cliff that you kind of basically have to climb. We went down the cliff, so at least we had to go down. But in going the other way, there's like basically a cliff that you have to portage up, and it's so steep. Yeah, and like you can't fall. It's pretty rock and roll. Like my buddy and one of the campers was loving it. Me, not so much. I'm a little bit on the safer side, but it was pretty rock and roll. So he loved it, and I was kind of sketching about it. But on the way back home, we should have taken that portage, but we didn't. But we ended up paddling basically 45 minutes around and kind of getting lost, classic, right? Like, oh my God. So then we got back to Ragged, and we stayed at a really nice campsite, which I stayed at before. And honestly, like it was like 2 p.m. We could have just gone home, but we decided to stay. And then the next morning at like 6 a.m., some of us had to work that day, which is kind of funny. We had to drive back out of Algonquin straight into like to work. We paddled all the way back. So that was the trip. All in all, great trip. Big fan. Great campsites along the way. Great times along the way. Big fan of the radio. Radio is clutch. You know, next year we're gonna push it a little harder. Me and the group that we were with. I think we decided that, and maybe some of you guys might agree with this too. That pushing it sometimes is like you take a break at lunch, so you do like 3 hours before lunch, 3 hours after lunch. That could be fun. But that's all up to you. Like, it's just how crazy do you want to be, right? And then how much relax, just time, hanging out kind of time. So yeah, that's the trip. I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much. Remember, don't be a dirtbag out in the park. Don't feed the animals. Don't throw stuff out on the ground. Pack in what you pack out, or pack out what you pack in, whatever they call it these days. Just think about the park, because no one cleans up after you, and we want to make sure Algonquin's 2 thumbs up for everyone else. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the trip review. Let me know if you've ever done anything crazy like this, and then I got a couple more videos. Sorry about the footage. We lost some footage, but hey, growing pains, am I right?